we'll be doing a video on my battery relocation. There's really not much to it, but I figured, you know, get some sort of video out for the car. I got a Taylor battery relocation. It's a stainless kit. It came with ventilation hose, your power, your ground, and then your grommets, everything that you'll need to put it on. I am running a quick disconnect, so I do have a couple more terminal or battery fittings on the way, so that I can do that properly instead of just using like crap connectors. But yeah, so basically my plan was to mount the battery here, but this isn't big enough for that to mount, so it'll go down here. This car, it's not really the biggest deal in the world with weight distribution, but I figured if I can get it sort of centered so that the weight's centered on the tires, but also sort of more on the right hand side where I sit left side, so right side kind of will get it even. I doubt it'll matter too much on the speed of this car, but I'm gonna start by mounting it here and then go from there. So I actually started with my quick disconnect first, and I figured I'd show you guys how I did that. I already got it installed. Basically, it's just a big terminal that goes, that obviously power goes to, and this just is basically a circuit to turn it on and off. So what I found out was I was just gonna start drilling and cutting, but when I paid attention more, there's 4 T10 Torx bolts or screws in this. One here, and then on the opposite there's one on the bottom of it. One here, and then obviously you got to take your license plate light pot out. So once you get those 4 bolts off, this here is a separate piece. So you don't have to actually leave your whole headlight on. If you can take those 4 T10s out, it makes your life doing this much easier. You just got to be really careful. I used a screwdriver Torx, and I was just really slow on it because you guys know that this plastic, especially at this age, is very frail. So you just got to be careful. But yeah, if anyone was curious on or wanted to do one of these battery relocations and wanted to put it in the tail light instead of the bumper, that's how I would do it, is just take these 4 bolts out, again, here, 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 and then one on the bottom, completely opposite from where this is, comes off, and then you have free access to this without breaking up your tail light. So I got that in. Obviously it's not wired. I still got to drill holes for the power wires to go into, but we'll keep going. All right, so I got the box installed, and looks pretty decent. It is a little annoying that the Taylor stamp is backwards and the cable exits facing the rear, but whatever, it's not that big of it, not the end of the world. I do kind of just have it roughly installed. So you got your battery actual hold down that'll just go right down on here. This is not the correct battery for this. I'm getting a battery with topside terminals, but I just used it as to see if it would fit. It fits pretty decent actually. So that was actually pretty easy. Just drill those 2 holes, put your bottom plate on. I did cut these. They were a little longer than I would like, and I didn't want them sticking like 6 inches under the car and looking kind of weird. So I cut them, I measured them, I cut them to the length that I wanted. So now when I put the cover on, the little wing nuts, I don't have to try and fight it with this rear latch motor. So I would recommend doing that if you put the battery in right here if this is where you were going to put it. But that's just what I did. You can do whatever you want. This is underneath. They're still sticking a little too deep for how I like them, but whatever. It'll be fine. But so now all that's really left to do is I still got to cut a hole or access to get to the switch, do ventilation, and then after that it's just routing wires. So I'll get to it, I guess. So real quick before we start running lines, I actually got to wait for a couple of these fittings to come in. I thought they were going to be here today. They're not. And I don't want to use, you know, wires or wire ends for a power, so like main power source. So I'm going to wait, not do it half-assed, but in the meantime, I mean, I got to get a battery anyway. But in the meantime, what I did was I put the light up and then kind of eyeballed it, giving off the terminal where it sat. And I just drilled some holes. And I should probably use grommets because it'd be way safer. And I probably will eventually. But for testing, this fits perfectly in there. Not a lot of play, hardly anything at all. So I got those drilled. And then for also the ventilation, I got the ventilation pointed down and the tube being fed into it. And it comes, I don't know if you're able to see really well, but it comes down, goes underneath the carpet to keep it clean, and then comes down through where the spare tire would go. Got a couple clamps to keep it in place. And then there's a weep hole for water and moisture to leak through. And I just kind of opened that hole up a little bit, fed the tube through, and just got a little bit sticking out. So got that done. So like I said, I just got to wait for these fittings to come in so I can run them where they need to go. All right, so I got the battery all wired up, ground cable goes right to the chassis, stuck a bolt through there, and then this is like a lock nut, threw a washer on there too, so it gets a real flat press against the chassis. So it's grounded all the way around, so it's touching nothing but bare metal at all times. Power, gave it a little extra slack so that if I have to pull the tail light itself out, like change a light bulb or something, I'll be able to just, you know, unscrew these nuts, pull the light or the housing out, and then change the light without having to fight with the wires. So I left a little bit of slack there. Feeds in to the disconnect. This is a hole that was supposed to go from disconnect to the car, but I changed what I wanted to do. So that's just kind of a bare hole, but I'll throw a plug in that just so it doesn't look too hacked up. So then this power wire comes through here, and then it runs basically in 90s and runs like pretty much right underneath the tail light to the disconnect, so that it's nice and clean. When I throw this cover on, you won't see any power wire at all. I mean, maybe you'll see a little bit of this. But so this power wire runs alongside of the car, runs down the paneling, just cover it up. I have it tucked underneath here, and it runs right underneath this floor guard all the way up underneath the carpet. I'll pull some of this back. Loops up. I got it hung up and tied up so it won't get caught and stuff. And it'll probably be really hard to see, but it goes right through the floor, and I got a grommet there just so it doesn't tear the wiring up. And it comes through the floor straight to its power source. So that kind of cleans that up. I'm actually going to try and reuse this ground. This goes straight to my engine block, and I'd like to throw this back on the chassis, get a nice clean chassis ground, or engine ground, so that the motor is grounded. The more grounds, the better. So the switch and everything is done. This is off, this is on. So when it's off, I'll throw the key in here. I'm not going to turn it on because I don't have fuel lines hooked up and I don't want fuel spraying everywhere. Well, this is my radiator fan switch. So I flip that up, nothing comes on. So then when you turn this on, now the car should have complete power. Flip the fan switch. And now the fans are on. And then also, I got my ricer lights wired up, so those are on. Really the true question to make sure everything, like, yeah, the car's got power and everything, that's great, but the real testament is once I get everything done that I need to, is will the alternator be able to charge this? It should. I don't really have too many worries, but I don't know. I know some people that have done this, and because there's so much feed, that takes a little bit more to charge the battery. That alternator is kind of a ripper, so should be all right. But so that's done. I think I'll start on finishing up fuel lines and then do the transmission lines. Fuel lines, that's my return here. This will be my feed to the regulator to the carburetor. I moved it. It was mounted here, but Brainerd wasn't happy that it was on the firewall, so I had to move it. So start doing, finish up the interior, start doing lines and transmission cooler, then probably do the lines and see where we're at. All right, so I figured I'd start with fuel and trans lines first before I kind of get started on the trans cooler. I'll show you in a sec. This is all going to be -6. All of this, except for a couple things, is from Red Horse Performance. They make pretty good stuff, so I figured I'd go with them. So got a bunch of clamps because last time I ran trans lines, I put the new transmission in my car and I didn't pay attention to where my AN was leaning, and it was leaning against one of the runners of the headers. So this did not last very long, and it looked like I was on fire for a little bit, and then had transmission fluid everywhere. So I got clamps this time so that I remember to make sure that everything's clear. But I got some separators to kind of make some of the stuff look nice, and also keep some of the lines away from my distributor. Got a couple 90s, a 180 for my fuel line, and then this 150 for something that I'm gonna make work. I got a couple straights and then another 180 that's left over. Some of these are Earl's parts. Everything that's basically on my car right now is all Earl's. And Earl's is pretty expensive, but they make good stuff. But Red Horse is much more wallet friendly, and honestly, you probably get a little bit better quality. So trans cooler, like I said, it's freaking massive. I mean, absolutely overkill. It's not a bad thing. It's just kind of big, so it takes up more room. It's got a fan that comes with it that'll wire up. I got this straight from Jags. This is just cheap $150 trans cooler. I actually have this exact same thing on my truck for an oil cooler. So, I mean, it's freaking huge, but it's a pretty friendly price. It comes with the -6 unions, And so you don't have to, I don't like the push line stuff, so I do AN swivels fittings. And then got some steel for making a bracket. I think where I'm gonna mount the trans cooler is I was doing a little bit of mock-ups and stuff. I'm probably gonna mount it from here to here maybe. I haven't decided like 100%. I might also try and fit it right here because I do have that cover that mounts, or that kind of covers up like where the factory hood latch would be. So probably mount it there is what I'm thinking. I'd like to try and get it so that airflow is coming right through it, so that it passes right through and goes right to the radiator. And if I have the fan on, the fan will just blow to the radiator, kind of make up for a little bit of the restricted air that the radiator won't see. But most of the air radiator gets comes right through here anyway. So probably get started on that. I got a couple lines made already. It's a little one that'll probably work on a little bit. My return is already done and mounted. I just got to bring the feed here and then put the feed from the regulator to the carb, and then test for leaks. All right, so I got a few lines done. I just wanted to get that done and out of the way so that I could start working on mounting the trans cooler and then running lines. I still have some of my trans lines going to, I had it running to my radiator, and that was a very large mistake. So I still got to take all that off. But I finished the fuel lines. Tried to get them away from my distributor, any spark or anything like that. I mean, everything's insulated and should be fine, but just taking that extra step of precaution. Really shouldn't have any fuel lines going by spark, but it is what it is. It should be all right. So now I'm just gonna start mounting, working on making the brackets and mounting the trans cooler. I'm thinking the trans cooler will go about here. So that'll be basically direct. Should be direct flow right to, right through this grill opening, right to the cooler, and then the fan would kind of, the air would filter through the cooler to the radiator, and if the fan's on the trans cooler, it'll be blowing some air to the radiator. So that's the plan. We'll start cutting that up, and Mike's doing that shit over there, the stuff that I think he don't really want any part of. So we'll get to it. I got this bracket kind of half made. I messed up on that one, so I'm gonna make another one, but just so you guys get a good idea of what I'm kind of talking about, because I'm sure what I talk about doesn't make sense. The bracket will just go right to the crash bar here, and then the trans cooler get mounted to the bracket itself. What I plan to do is you know, when I drill the holes for the bracket itself, I'll probably just riv nut everything. That way it's pretty easy to take on and off, and I don't got stuff hanging around, and plus I like riv nuts. So I gotta get hardware and stuff for it anyway. I need some like M5 or M6 bolts or whatever I need for it. I got all the riv nuts, just no riv, or I don't have the bolts for it. So I just feel like going inside, honestly. I've been out here all day and just want to go, and I haven't eaten yet, so I'll probably make something to eat. So I edit this video. Got fuel line. Well, we got the fuel lines done. We got the battery relocation done. I tested fuel, no leaks, which is nice. I did get this other Kirky seat in. I got that mounted up with both seats have the Racecraft seat brackets, so it's actually very good quality. I'm very Racecraft is actually from Minnesota, or one of their locations are in Minnesota, so it's pretty nice. I can get that stuff here pretty quick. But this thing is leaned forward too far. I just noticed that now. So I'm actually gonna lean that back because that's how I sit, and I kind of want those to be even. But the battery box actually looks pretty nice in there with all the black and the stainless steel. But I'm thinking, should I sticker bomb that too? Because I got the sticker bombed gauge cluster, and then I got my roof is completely sticker bombed. So should I just keep doing what I'm doing and just sticker bomb it, or should I just leave something nice? You guys let me know. But so I think that'll do it for this video. We got some hopefully interesting stuff coming here soon. I'm gonna be probably ordering the third member and the rear brake kit for my car for the Ford 9-inch. Mike's got all of his stuff that he's got going on in his car. And he's got a long way to go, so he's got plenty of videos. So if you'd like to subscribe, please subscribe if you're not already. Leave a like. We like those thumbs ups. It makes us feel good. So comment down below if you want to see anything or have any questions. But stay boosted and peace.